At 75 years old, Harold Bennett climbed onto his deteriorating roof alone, determined to fix the leaks himself despite the scorching heat and his trembling hands. Miles away, a photographer named Kyle was documenting old neighborhoods for a heritage project, snapping pictures of weathered houses bathed in afternoon light. When Kyle posted one particular photo online, frantic comments flooded in within hours. He zoomed into the high-resolution image and felt his blood run cold. Harold Bennett stood in his driveway staring up at the worn wooden roof of his home. The house had weathered every storm for decades, but now it was showing its age. Water stains darkened the ceiling inside, dripping into buckets every time rain fell. At 75 years old, Harold was running out of options. His monthly pension covered the basics: groceries, utilities, medication, nothing more. And certainly not for contractors who quoted prices in the thousands. Harold had called 3 companies. The lowest estimate would wipe out months of savings he didn't have. He walked to the garage and pulled out an old toolbox covered in dust. Inside were hammers and nails from his younger years when he fixed things himself. Next to it sat salvaged roof tiles he'd collected from neighbors who were renovating. Harold dragged a metal ladder from the side of the house and positioned it against the wall. His hands shook slightly as he gripped the rungs. He hadn't climbed anything this high in years, but what choice did he have? His children lived states away, busy with their own lives. They called occasionally. The morning sun climbed higher as Harold carried his tools up the ladder. By the time he reached the roof, sweat already dampened his shirt. The surface was uneven beneath his feet, old wood creaking with every step. He told himself to be careful, to take breaks, to stay aware. But the work consumed him. Harold hammered tiles into place, one after another, trying to patch the worst sections before the next rain came. The midday heat intensified, turning the roof into a furnace. The black shingles burned when he touched them. Sweat poured down his face and into his eyes, stinging and blurring his vision. His breathing grew heavier. Each swing of the hammer felt slower than the last. Harold's arms trembled from exhaustion, but he pushed forward. Just one more section, he told himself. Just finish this part and then rest. Across town, a young photographer named Kyle Mason was driving through older neighborhoods with his camera. He specialized in documenting historic architecture, capturing images of houses that told stories of earlier decades. His social media project celebrated these forgotten places, showing followers the beauty in weathered wood and vintage design. Kyle pulled his car to the side when he spotted Harold's house. The afternoon sunlight hit the slanted roof perfectly, creating dramatic shadows and highlighting the texture of aged shingles. He raised his camera and took several shots, adjusting angles to capture the architectural details. It looked like a peaceful scene. An old house basking in golden light. Kyle reviewed the photos on his camera screen, satisfied with the composition, then posted the best shot to his page with a caption about preserving community heritage. He drove away, thinking nothing more of it. Back at his apartment, Kyle was editing photos when his phone started buzzing non-stop. Notifications flooded his screen faster than he could read them. Comments on his latest post were multiplying by the second, each one more urgent than the last. He opened the app confused. What could possibly cause this reaction to a simple house photo? The comments made his blood freeze. Zoom in on the roof. Someone call 911. Is that a person? Kyle's hands shook as he pulled up the high-resolution version of the image. He zoomed into the roof section, closer and closer, until the details became clear. His stomach dropped. Harold wasn't standing on the roof. He was hanging from a wooden beam, his body suspended in the air. Kyle grabbed his phone and called emergency services immediately. Then he jumped in his car and raced back to the neighborhood, his heart pounding the entire drive. When Kyle arrived, he found Harold still hanging from the beam, barely conscious. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. The fire department arrived first, extending their ladder truck to reach Harold's position. Paramedics set up below, preparing to catch him if his grip failed. Firefighters climbed carefully, speaking to Harold to keep him conscious as they secured him with safety harnesses. Harold's arm finally gave out just as the firefighters reached him. They caught him, supporting his weight as they brought him down safely. Paramedics rushed forward the moment his feet touched the ground. Harold was severely dehydrated and suffering from heat exhaustion. His shoulder was dislocated from hanging for so long. His body temperature was dangerously high. The paramedics explained that Harold's situation had been critical. If he'd hung there much longer, the outcome would have been very different. The heat alone could have killed him. News of the rescue spread quickly through the neighborhood. A local roofing company heard the story. They offered to repair his entire roof completely free of charge. When reporters came to interview Harold, he sat in his living room with his arm in a sling, looking tired but grateful. Harold explained that he never wanted his children to worry or feel burdened. He thought he could manage alone like he always had, but hanging from that beam, feeling his strength fading, he realized how foolish that thinking had been. Kyle visited Harold several times during his recovery. The two men formed an unexpected friendship. Harold thanked him repeatedly for taking that photograph at exactly the right moment. Harold's children flew in after hearing what happened, guilt-stricken that they'd let so much distance grow. They promised to stay in better contact and check on him regularly. One photograph, taken at a random moment during an ordinary afternoon, had changed everything. It captured a crisis that no one knew was happening and sparked a rescue that saved a man's life. And you, what would you do if you discovered something life-threatening hidden in a photograph you'd taken?